students put themselves in debt when it comes to educating
Yeah.
themselves, five,
Yeah.
even six figures in the hole.
There's no such thing as debt because when you're born, there's debt. You're going to die at some point. Time is the only thing that's expensive in life because you're never getting it back. Now, then we can break this and silo it out. We can compartmentalize this conversation. We could have the intrinsic personal value conversation of the human that needs to know stuff to develop meaning in their life. And then we can go on this side, which we'll just talk about both. We can go on this side, which is you go to school, you're in an ecosystem where you're provided the opportunity to think more likely because the books are there and you have a mentor attempting to articulate it to you so it makes sense to you, regardless of your level of abstraction, like the best at the class, the least best at the class. You have a personal coach there that you can now take that knowledge and use it in society to better other humans because we're in a social construct. We've got to add value to each other. We're in a capitalistic society. So like from a business standpoint, people that go to college earn more money over time, period. Like the general scheme of them. And they network and there's that value. So like there's the business side of things and then there's the personal side of things. How can you put a price on that? Because you're going to go your whole life eating, sleeping, breathing, spending money. And then we could argue about debt and like, oh, the debt that I'm going to get into what? Operate in the world at my highest level of success. It's like both of those, that conversation on debt isn't relevant for the human that understands how to take advantage of the collegiate academic experience, to be creative and open and have conversation with other people that think and have a personal mentor, which is you have many, they're called professors there to help you actually develop and grow. How can you put a price on that called debt when life is a debt that you pay when you're dead? It's like that. So there's like the personal conversation and there's the business one. I mean, you can't.
Well, yeah. So I mean, so you make a good point. So what do you think? Well, I guess in a nutshell, do you think it's worth it, or do you think as long as the student propels their studies full force, like what is your full
Depending
take on
upon,
it?
yeah, that's a good question because there's so many people that could say, well, look at all the millionaires and billionaires that didn't go to college. Yes, the 0.000 whatever 1% that didn't go, no matter what, they are probably doing what you can do in college, which is what? Take their life seriously. It's like that's not mutually exclusive. Like, oh, well, they did it without school. That has nothing to do with school. Those people were just going to do it regardless. They were just going to be successful regardless. Why? Because they habituate successful traits. So if you habituate successful traits like openness, curiosity, being observant, having grit and commitment and finishing things through, being a people person to lead other people. Those are some of the traits of millionaires or billionaires. It's not mutually exclusive that they're going to be, over here on this pedestal and they didn't go to school and the masses are going to go to school and not have jobs. Like if you're going to school, it's about how you're taking advantage of it is what I would argue. And that humans need to construct meaning in their life by becoming great at things that they can add value to other humans. And college is going to give you that. So without a doubt, it's going to give you that ecosystem. It's like, all right, it's pretty simple. You show up and you get smart. Think, right?
Yeah.
So how can you put that as, oh, it's a negative debt? No matter what, you're going to pay that debt by living. You're going to spend your life spending money and doing things and trying to fulfill needs that maybe you don't even need to fulfill because you're not fulfilled in the beginning because you don't know anything, for God's sake. So it's like there's the personal conversation of fulfillment and then there's the business one. It's like, well, why wouldn't you go? And it's, if I had gone, that's the funny part. It's like, I didn't go. I regret that because not to mention, at 20 years old is when I started just buying the books that would be in the colleges and reading them myself and then taking action on them. So someone would say, oh, well, you didn't go, so you don't have all that debt. Of course I have the debt, meaning life is debt. And I spent the money on other things, taking chances on other things, doing other things. No matter what, your life is going to be spending money if you choose to look at it as spending. You have to look at it as investing in what you're doing with your time. So it's an interesting thing. Is it the end all be all you're going to be successful or not? No way. If you're going to go, look at it as how do I take this time at the highest level to become more valuable? And it will make your life easier because you're going to know people. You're going to network with people in college that are, statistically speaking, going places. And you're also going to look from a branding standpoint, meaning trust, that piece of paper means something potentially to an employer. So if you show up to the interview and you aren't a schmuck, you can handle yourself well, you're going to have an advantage versus the guy that shows up that handled himself well and doesn't have the paper. That's the thing is, you've got to be someone worth being, like valuable to other humans at the end of the day, no matter what. So it's not the right attitude looking at it as debt like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. Because life is a debt.